Yo, what's up everybody, Walter Pitcher here, and today I wanted to show you something. I didn't know what, all I know is that I needed to make something. I was feeling like I absolutely needed to be creative today. But, my hooks up here fell down, that's why all my clothes are on the ground. Pretty annoying. So, today's video though, if you haven't guessed by the title already, is how to take and edit better phone pictures. So, this tutorial, this video is going to be mainly about the post-editing on the computer. Now, it's not necessarily going to be about how to actually shoot better, but some of these tips can be used, in any manner. There we go. Because I want to use this lighting, because I have a light over here, and I want to use that when I take my picture, okay? So, I'm just going to take a picture like this. And what that's going to do is going to use the lighting on this side to light up my face. Now, something to keep in mind when you're shooting this is that you need to take your phone and you need to place it in front of the light source. Not directly in front of it, but in a way of where the light source is coming from behind you. Because if I do it from the other way, most phones look fantastic, it still looks great, but when you really want to step up your game in terms of how to make great photos using just your phone, then that's kind of, what we're going after here. So I'm gonna take one more. There we go. So I'm gonna jump over onto the computer. You're gonna come with me, and I'm gonna try out my fancy new microphone. Don't tell anyone. And we're gonna learn how to edit these photos to be the best that you can. Okay, so now I have the pictures on the computer, and what we want to take a look at is on this left hand side here. You can tell that this photo right here is decent. It's not bad. It's not bad at all. I mean, you can see what's going on. You can see my face. You can see the camera. Here is even a little bit better. I let some of this light come through, but when you look at this one on the right, you can tell that not only does my face look a little bit clearer, but there's a lot more detail, a lot more specific things in the image that makes it pop. The biggest thing that I can think, for example, is my eyes. You can see in my eyes here, you can even see it's a little bloodshot, but over here it's just kind of like its own little thing. Although you can't tell how crappy my roof is. But basically what we're going to be doing is I'm going to be taking this image as an example, and we're going to take this into Photoshop, and what we're going to do is we're going to try to clean up my face a little bit. We're going to clean up some of this hair down here, put a nice little filter over it, maybe some tilt shift if I feel so inclined, and we're going to make it look really fantastic, and then I'm going to show you how to put it on Instagram. Well, I might not need to show you how to do that part, but I'm sure you could figure that one out. Okay, so first thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to want to open our version of Photoshop or Affinity Pro or whatnot, and we want to go to File, Open. Now, before I get too far into this, I just want to say that this tutorial is for those who take photos with their phone, want to maybe get into a little bit of photography, maybe a little bit of videography, but doesn't know how to edit very well. So if you're watching this and you kind of have the basics of editing and what to do universally, this video might not be for you. Now, I will have a more advanced video coming out, but as for now, you might want to go watch, I don't know, some other YouTube channel. But nevertheless, let's go ahead and get started. So I know that this is the image that we were talking about, image 0317. Now, I took this with an iPhone 6s Plus, and it was standing vertical. So that's going to make my dimensions 1932 by 2576. So I'm going to open it. And basically what that's going to do is that's going to open the image exactly how it was. Now, if I wanted to make this like a 1080p image, all I got to do is make a new document, 1920 by 1080, and that's going to create this new document here, and then you can go into File, Place, and then you will need to select your image, hit Place, and holding the Shift key and selecting this little icon up here will allow you to make changes. So if I do Command minus that kind of makes it go bigger and smaller, but what we want is we want this to get bigger like that. So if I'm holding the shift key, making it bigger, that way if I want, what I can do is I can create this into a 1080p image. Let's say something more along the lines of this, rather than an up and down photo. Now the benefit to this is that you can edit it how it would look properly on a computer, but if I were to zoom in on it, you can tell that I'm losing a lot of quality, especially in my face. So if I were to go here and zoom all the way in to 100%, you could tell that while the quality isn't quite there, it definitely is a little bit better than the 1080p image. But for this tutorial, basically I want to do the 1080p image. I want to have this as a wallpaper. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to close out of this one, and we're going to be using this one as our main template. Okay, so now that we have the image selected that we'd like, and opened into a 1080p window, I went ahead and I did the Command- button to bring it down to 50%. Now, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to increase it as big as your screen would allow, just so that way you can have as much of a, I guess, an understanding of what the final product is going to look like. Although for this, I don't think that's nearly as important, and I'd rather have the extra space. So I'm going to set it to 66.7% using the Command plus or minus. And that's going to allow me a decent workflow, you know, as well as that. So basically the first thing that I like to do, and this is purely, and I mean purely, because this is what I learned when I started. And when I open up a image in this program, Photoshop here, you're going to want to drag your layer, which is the, I guess, effects, pictures, anything that's in your actual photo. You're going to drag it down to this little like sticky note icon, and that's going to create a new copy of it. Now what you're going to want to do is double click on that and name it anything you like. So I'm going to name this back, just because it's the main background. And what I'm going to do is click this little eye icon, and that indicates layer visibility. So if I were to click it, it toggles it off. So if I were to toggle off the top layer, it's going to just be nothing. But if I were to turn it back on, what that's going to do is allow me to make edits to this specific layer. And then if I want to go back, or let's say I just want to turn down all of the effects, I can turn this back on and like change the opacity down, or something like that. Now keep in mind that this is just how I learned how to do it, and I don't think there's a real reason for it per se, but this is the way that I learned, and that's the way that I want to teach it. Alright, so now that we have all of our layers selected, let's go ahead and start making some adjustments, okay? So the big thing, especially in the new versions of Photoshop, is you have these adjustment layer, or even a panel right here, that you can make adjustments, similar to Affinity Pro, which Affinity Pro I think does it a little bit better, but again, that's not the point of today's video. There's two ways to make changes. Now, there's a bad way, which is the way that I like to do it, and it's just because that's the way that I like, and there's the good way. The good way is to go down to this little icon here, which is called Adjustment Layers, and basically what we're going to do here is, let's just say we want to boost the brightness, right? It's going to pop up in this little panel, and we can turn the brightness up, we can turn the contrast down, whatever that we'd like. And let's say that we don't. Well, actually, so this is what it's for. Okay, so we're going to select that layer. We change the brightness and contrast. Let's say we want to do the color balance as well. Let's just turn it to really ugly red. And let's say, you know what? I don't really like that color balance. Basically, what you can do is you can just click on this thumbnail here, and you can change it. So let's say, now we have it blue. The other thing is that, let's say you want the brightness and contrast, but don't necessarily want the color balance. All you got to do is hide it. All you got to do is delete it, or delete, you know, whatever it is that you'd like. Now, the other way that I have done things in the past, although for the sake of this video, I'm going to teach you with adjustment layers because objectively I think it's better, is I would go into image adjustments, and I would make all the adjustments on each specific layer, and then I would duplicate the layer when I'm done with that thing. So I would duplicate the back layer, change my adjustments, and then I would go back and duplicate it again to make another adjustment, another adjustment, another adjustment. Now ultimately this adds to file size, which you do not want, especially if you're going to be uploading it to the web, but above that, that's really the only keepsake value. Alright, so now let's go ahead and start making some adjustments. Select your back layer that you created, and let's go ahead and select that icon that I mentioned earlier. Now, there's a few things that you can do originally. You can apply a photo filter, which is basically the same as, say, editing it with Instagram. You can change the exposure, but for the sake of this video and for the sake of making it good, we're going to do two things, okay? The first is that we're going to change the color balance. Now, when you do color balance, on the top you have shadows, midtones, and highlights, and it's pretty self-explanatory on what they do. So when you look at the highlights of this photo, I basically want it just a little bit more yellow, just a little bit here, just because I feel like that warms it up a little bit, and you can just play around with this. Realistically, all that I do is I play around with it until I have something that I like. So like for example, I like my face a little bit warmer, a little bit red, so if I were to turn this off, that's what it looked like before, and that's what it looks like after. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to just change all these colors to what we'd like. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this red up just a little bit more, just to kind of get a nice warm tone there. And then I'm going to select midtones, and if you don't know which this is going to change, just make sure that you take one that's at 0 and just slide it all the way up, and then you can see what it does. Basically midtones, that was the overall like tone of the image. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to boost a little bit of green, just because I like how the green looks out in this window here, and red not so much because I feel like my face is getting a little blotched out, but if I turn it down a little bit, then that's going to change it to be a little bit more green, which is what I want. So under shadows now, typically, and this is just for the, I guess a general term, if you boost the blue shadows, typically the image looks better. And I hate saying that, and I hate making it seem that easy, but realistically, I mean, I'm at plus 38 right now, and I think that this image already looks better. So it really is, whichever that you think that you like the most, but you can do that. So let's say though, let's just turn this up just a little bit like that. The best thing about this is you can actually change the opacity of the thing here. So let's say that you make an adjustment and you're like, oh wow, that's just way too much. So let's go ahead and turn it down. You can do that all at once, and you don't have to go through and turn down every single little thing, which is fantastic. So also on this image, the second thing that I wanted to show you is curves. And basically what curves is the amount of light and dark in the image. So if I were to take this up, it's going to boost it up just like that. So I'm just going to go back to how it was. So it's really hard to explain, I guess, how you do this, but basically you're going to want to create a point and boost it up just a little bit because I like that light, and then you're going to want to boost a point over here but downwards, so that way you get a little bit more depth to it. Now the hard part about curves is that each image is going to be different, so I can't tell you put the output at this and you'll look great. You just have to play around with it and see what the best is. So that's not quite the best, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep it. So let's go ahead and see this. So I'm going to keep that because I like the darkness coming from the left side of my face going over towards the right. Now if you want to copy these exactly, but as I said, it's not going to matter. The output is 66 or 86 and the input is 90. So we're almost done with this image. Basically all that we need to do is clean up my face a little bit and get rid of some of these blemishes and moles and whatnot, and then save it, and then we're done. So basically what I did also is I added this smart filter lens correction, which I'm going to go ahead and I'll delete just to show you how to do it. So basically you're going to click here, you're going to go to filter, lens correction. It's going to pop up with this screen. You're going to want to go to custom, and under vignette, which is kind of like a dark area fading into the center, I just normally turn it all the way down, just like this. And then I hit OK. But I've already done that, so that's going to be on this image. And then I duplicated this because, as I said, that's just the way that I work, is I make it an adjustment like that, duplicate it to save it into the new image, and then kind of work from there. It really has come back to bite me a little bit, but as I said, that's kind of just how I do things. So now we're going to clean up this image, and basically what we're going to do is over here on the left, we're going to select the spot healing brush tool. There's a few different options, so you can select the clone stamp tool, and what that does is it allows you to option click and then click over something like this to cover it up. But that's not what we want at all. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to select the spot healing brush tool. We're going to command plus to zoom in, and basically we want to do it the smallest brush size that we can, and we're just going to want to clean up some of these little things here. Okay, so I'm just going to click on that, and just like that. A good technique is that if you're going over an image, make the bracket size or use the bracket keys to make the circle the smallest bracket size that it could, and just select it. And if it starts to look a little funky, then just go in a circle. So kind of like this, just go in a circle, and that kind of helps blend it in a little bit. So basically what we're doing is we're just removing some of these undesirables here, mainly just some of this acne here. So as I said, here we go. We're gonna go in a circle there, just kind of make it look a little bit more natural. So I think this is looking pretty okay. Let's go ahead and we'll just clean this up a little bit more. So we're just going to click some of these spots here. I do get acne pretty bad right there due to sweat. Now there is one other technique, and I don't know how I feel about it. See, the thing is I learned this such a long time ago, but what you can do is you can drag and drop your layer to a new layer. You can go to filter and you can go to liquefy. And that's going to pop up with your image like this, and again, command plus to zoom in on it. Now basically what you're going to do is you're going to create a big bracket like this, and you're going to grab an image and you're just going to move it in circles like this. Just like that. Well, obviously not like that. But you move it in circles just like this. As you can see, it's making the skin a lot flatter. So you just move it in circles. Just like that. See, I don't really like this, and I haven't really perfected the technique, but if you feel free to play around with it, that's kind of what you're going after. So that's just another technique. Okay, so we are almost done. The last thing that I like to add to my images is a lighting overlay. Now, some people don't like this. Some people think that it's a lot like J.J. Abrams, like the optical flares, but I find that I really enjoy them. So basically what we're going to want to do is we are going to want to let's see where I put it here. So here we go. So I have this image here, and what I'm going to do is just copy the image, go back into Photoshop, right, and you're going to command V, and you're going to want to convert, preserve color appearance, and then this is going to put this over top of your image, and you're going to be like, oh, what the heck, I just ruined everything. No, you didn't. Calm down, you're good. All you're going to want to do is select your layer on the right hand side, and under layer type you're going to want to change it to, let's say, screen or soft light, whichever looks good. So for me, I think that soft light looks good. Hard light typically would not look good. Screen is for when the background image is a lot blacker, but for me, I am going to do soft light like so. Now I'm going to change the opacity down just a little bit, just so I can get it up. So let's say 80% or so. So just for the sake of consistency, here's before, here's after. Now some people don't like this, and I understand that, but I do, and that's why I want to increase it in my image. Okay. So the other thing now is that I just want to add some text into it. So I'm just going to put my name, okay, and I'm going to select a color. Now the reason why I'm doing this text portion in this video is because one of the biggest mistakes that I see is someone to do like something like this with like a crazy like orange color like that, when realistically what I would do is I'd grab a color that's pretty consistent with your image. So for me, I'm going to select these eye color here and basically then move it just a little bit. So I kind of want it to be a little bit lighter and wider, so just like that, and then I'm going to put it up here like this. So that's something that you can't really see very well. So if you go into blending options, you can add a color overlay, but typically if I want to even go this route, I would do a gradient overlay, right? And I'd open this up and I would click the gradient and I would select this little tool, double click it, it'll ask you to select a color, select something from your image, okay? And then when it gives you this code, go ahead and copy that, all right? And then when you go on your second little knob here, copy that in and then only change it very slightly. So I'm gonna do it like this. Now the difference between this and let's say a normal color is very, very small, but it definitely is noticeable when you're in your image. So I just have to say that now your image is completely done, and let's go ahead and let's take a look at the beginning image. Okay, so this is the beginning image. This is the beginning image, and this is the edited image, the edited final product. Now, I think it looks really good. The one thing is that you can use these techniques to apply it to this image in this style, but I wanted to do it in 1080p, so that's going to be it. So I hope that you guys learned a little bit something about this Photoshop program, or making better pictures. If you'd like me to do a full series on taking photos with your phone, I will. I do want to definitely get into picture taking on the phone for sure, and I know that you can do some great video work with it, but I spent a lot of money on my camera, and that's the one that I'm going to be using for videos. So if you want me to do a photo series, please let me know in the comments, let me know on Twitter. But above everything, you guys are now Photoshop artists.